Hi there! Ready to dive into another world of words and wisdom? Let's get started. Ever wondered how the 7 habits of highly effective people can change your perspective? Today, we uncover those secrets.
All right, let's dive into Stephen Covey's 7 habits. We're going to try to extract the most valuable insights from these excerpts, so get ready for a journey into personal and interpersonal effectiveness.
Well, one of the things that makes Covey's approach so unique is that it goes beyond just those surface-level tips and tricks. It's about a principle-centered framework for approaching life's challenges.
And he really dives right into that from the start with this idea of paradigms.
Right. He argues that paradigms, which are basically our mental maps, act like lenses through which we view the world. Think about that famous optical illusion of the old woman, young woman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Two people can look at the same image, but because of their paradigms, their pre-existing paradigms, they see totally different things.
So are we saying that everyone's reality is completely subjective then? That there's no right way to see things?
Not necessarily. Covey isn't saying that all perceptions are equal, but he's emphasizing that we need to at least be aware of our own paradigms
Right.
and how they might be limiting us.
Okay, yeah. Like holding us back from seeing certain opportunities or possibilities.
Exactly. So how do we actually shift those paradigms? How do we change the lens?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, it's about those aha moments, right? Covey believes real change happens when we experience a paradigm shift.
When we suddenly see things in a new light.
Yeah. New experiences, new information, even just challenging our own assumptions can trigger those shifts.
I can see how that connects to this whole idea of the character ethic versus the personality ethic.
Absolutely.
He's saying that lasting change has to come from within.
From the inside out.
Yeah, working on our character.
Yes.
Rather than just trying to change our outward behavior.
Exactly. And he tells this really powerful story about trying to teach his own son to share.
Oh, interesting.
He realized just focusing on techniques wasn't working. He had to go deeper.
Address the underlying character issue.
Yes. And that's where habit 1 comes in. Be proactive.
All about taking responsibility for our own choices and actions no matter what.
Regardless of the circumstances, exactly.
Okay, but that's kind of hard, right? Because sometimes we're told that we're just victims of circumstance,
You're absolutely right.
that we don't have the power to change things.
It does go against the grain.
Yeah.
But Covey says we always have a choice,
Oh.
even in the most difficult situations. He uses that incredible example of Viktor Frankl
Oh, right. Yeah.
in a Nazi concentration camp.
Even then, he had the freedom to choose his response.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is a testament to the human spirit.
That we're not defined by what happens to us, but how we choose to respond.
Exactly.
So how do we become more proactive?
Well, Covey talks about the circle of influence and the circle of concern.
Okay.
Proactive people focus their energy on what they can control, their circle of influence.
Makes sense.
Instead of getting caught up in the things they can't control, the circle of concern.
So basically, stop worrying about stuff you can't change.
Yes. Focus on what you can do something about.
Be solution-oriented. And that leads perfectly into habit 2, doesn't it?
It does.
Begin with the end in mind.
Yes. Having a clear vision for your life.
Making sure your actions match your goals.
Covey asks us to imagine attending our own funeral. What would people say about us?
Whoa, okay. That's a powerful visualization.
It is.
What truly matters, the legacy you leave behind.
Exactly. And it challenges us to live our lives with intention, not just drifting along.
I love how he says all things are created twice, right? First mentally, then physically.
Oh, that's such a good one.
You're either fulfilling your vision or you're letting external factors control your life.
You're letting other people's agendas shape your life
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
Wow. So being proactive means you take charge of that first creation.
The mental one.
Yeah. Deciding what you want your life to look like.
And then taking action.
And that takes us to habit 3. Put first things first.
Yes. This is where it gets practical.
This is about effective self-management.
It is.
Prioritizing our time and energy.
Focusing on what truly matters.
He emphasizes that we need to prioritize based on our principles.
Not just what feels urgent in the moment.
Not just reacting.
Right. Be intentional with your time and energy.
And this is where he brings in that famous time management matrix, the 4 quadrants.
Exactly. Urgent, important, not urgent, important, urgent, not important, not urgent, not important.
So much of our lives gets sucked into that first quadrant.
Right. Always putting out fires.
Reacting to crises.
Excel trap.
So Covey's big idea is to focus on quadrant 2,
Yes. Important but not urgent activities.
the ones that we often neglect.
They're so easy to neglect, but they're crucial.
So we have to be disciplined.
Yes. Say no to those urgent but unimportant things.
So we can say yes to the things that really matter.
Exactly.
His first three habits, being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, putting first things first.
They lay the groundwork.
For everything else, right?
You're absolutely right. He calls these the private victories.
The foundation for effectiveness in all areas of life.
Yes.
Building that inner strength to move from independence to interdependence.
Precisely. And that brings us to the public victories.
Okay.
Habits 4, 5, and 6.
All about building those effective win-win relationships.
Exactly.
But we need that solid sense of self first.
Right. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And Covey uses this fantastic metaphor here, the emotional bank account.
Oh, yeah.
Think of it like a financial bank account. You make deposits to build trust and withdrawals when you break trust.
So those small acts of kindness, courtesy,
Keeping promises.
those are all deposits.
Yes.
Yep.
And being disrespectful, breaking promises, being unkind, those are withdrawals.
The goal is to keep a positive balance.
Exactly. Because when you have that high level of trust,
There's more flexibility and resilience.
you can weather the storms together.
Have those tough conversations without damaging the relationship.
That's the key.
Which takes us to habit 4, right? Think win-win,
Yes. It's so relevant today.
where we're often stuck in competition and scarcity mentalities.
Absolutely. Win-win is about seeking mutual benefit.
Seeing life as a cooperative arena, not a competitive one,
Yes. Moving away from that zero-sum game.
where someone else's success means there's less for you.
Right. There's plenty for everyone.
And we can achieve more together than we ever could alone.
That's the heart of it. And Covey contrasts win-win with all those other paradigms.
Okay.
Win-lose-lose, win-lose-lose.
He says win-win is the only effective paradigm for interdependent situations.
Because it fosters collaboration and trust.
But is that always realistic? I mean, don't we have to compete sometimes to get ahead?
That's a great question. And Covey acknowledges that competition is sometimes necessary,
Okay.
but he believes win-win should be the default approach.
Only compete when you absolutely have to.
Exactly. Shift your mindset.
See others as partners, not rivals.
Yes. And that leads us to habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
This is about shifting our paradigm.
Wanting to be understood first.
Yeah.
Instead, truly understand the other person's perspective.
It's about listening to understand.
Not just listening to reply.
Putting aside your own agenda.
Yes. And Covey calls this empathic listening.
It goes beyond just hearing words.
Understanding the feelings behind the words.
It's a skill.
It is. You have to develop it.
Being present, paying attention, asking clarifying questions.
Acknowledging their feelings even if you don't agree with them.
That can be tough.
It can. But it's essential for building trust.
Which brings us to habit 6. Synergize.
This is where the magic happens.
This sounds kind of like alchemy.
It does, doesn't it?
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
Working together, achieving things that wouldn't be possible individually.
It's a powerful concept.
Valuing differences.
Yes. Seeing them as opportunities.
Not getting stuck in those win-lose battles.
Exactly.
Finding a solution that creates something better
Finding that third alternative.
than either of us could have come up with alone.
Yes. The highest form of cooperation.
Covey shares some great examples of this. The business meeting, where different perspectives led to a breakthrough.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or that training program where they exceeded all expectations.
They really show what's possible when you embrace differences.
Work together toward a common goal.
Exactly.
Synergy is everywhere.
It is. Waiting to be unlocked.
If we're willing to embrace those differences,
Listen with empathy.
seek those creative win-win solutions.
Yes,
So we've covered the first 6 habits.
we have.
Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize.
They really build on each other, don't they?
It's like a framework for personal and interpersonal of effectiveness,
Like a staircase.
leading us toward a more fulfilling and impactful life.
Exactly. And we can't forget that final habit, habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Ah, yes. The habit of renewal,
It's the keystone.
the one that holds it all together.
It is.
We've been unpacking Stephen Covey's 7 habits, and how they create this framework for, effectiveness. And now we've reached habit 7,
Sharpen the saw.
the habit of renewal.
And it's so fascinating how he positions this. It's not just, taking breaks. It's about continuous improvement. And in 4 dimensions, too.
Physical, spiritual, mental, and Social emotional. It's
Yeah.
like using a dull saw, right?
Exactly. You can still get the job done.
Yeah.
But it takes so much more effort.
But results aren't as sharp, so to speak.
Exactly. And Covey's point is that investing in ourselves, it's not selfish.
Right?
It's about increasing our capacity to be effective in all areas.
So let's break it down. Physically, it seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Exercise, nutrition, sleep.
The basics. But what Covey adds is it's not about being some, fitness fanatic.
Yeah.
It's about finding activities that you genuinely enjoy.
That give you energy.
Yeah.
Remember that story about his friend challenging him to start weightlifting?
Oh, yeah.
He was resisting at first.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it.
But then he found that pushing past his comfort zone had all these benefits.
Unexpected benefits, too.
And it wasn't just physical, right?
No, not at all.
It was about the mental toughness he developed.
Which spilled over into other areas of his life.
Physical renewal is about feeling good.
Yeah, having the energy.
The stamina to go after your goals.
And the resilience to face challenges.
Okay, now what about spiritual renewal? This one seems a bit trickier to define.
It is a little more abstract.
Yeah.
But equally important. Covey says it's about connecting with our core values.
Finding meaning and purpose.
The things that give us that inner peace and direction.
Aligning our inner compass.
Yes. Making sure our actions are in harmony with what we believe in.
Living with integrity.
Exactly. And for some people, this might be meditation or prayer.
Right.
For others, it could be spending time in nature.
Listening to inspiring music, doing acts of service.
The key is to find what nourishes your soul.
What connects you to something larger than yourself?
Yes.
Especially when we're constantly bombarded with all these external pressures.
Right. It's so easy to lose sight of what really matters.
Yeah.
So we need to step back from the whirlwind of daily life.
Ask ourselves those tough questions.
Why am I doing what I'm doing?
Is this in alignment with who I want to be?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to mental renewal.
This is a big one for, well, everyone who's always learning.
Our listeners are probably all about this one.
I would think so. It's about expanding our minds,
Reading,
learning new skills,
having those thought-provoking conversations.
anything that challenges us to think critically.
And Covey suggests being intentional about our mental input, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like aiming to read at least a book a month.
And choose materials that broaden your perspective.
That challenge your assumptions.
He even says that the person who doesn't read is no better off than the person who can't read.
Wow.
It's that important to him.
But it's not just about passively absorbing information, is it?
No, not at all. It's about actively engaging with those ideas.
Analyzing them, integrating them.
It connects back to habit 5.
Seek first to understand.
Bring that same open-mindedness to your learning.
Challenging your own biases. Okay, last but not least, social emotional renewal.
This is the bridge between those private victories and public victories, isn't it?
It really is.
It's about our relationships,
We're nurturing them,
building trust, developing emotional intelligence,
the ability to connect on a deeper level,
empathize.
communicate effectively.
Yes. And remember the emotional bank account.
Oh, right, of course.
It comes back here, too.
Every interaction is a deposit or withdrawal.
Such a powerful way to think about it.
Be mindful of how we're treating others.
Make those small deposits of kindness.
Courtesy, respect.
That builds trust, strengthens relationships.
I love that story Covey tells about Don Quixote.
Oh, yeah, the one with the woman.
Yeah. Transforming her self-image.
Seeing her potential.
Affirming her worth.
Even when everyone else saw her differently.
Our beliefs in others can truly empower them.
Absolutely. Our interactions can uplift or diminish.
It's like that saying,
Which one?
treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he could be, and he will become what he should be.
Oh, that's a good one.
Reflecting back to others a vision of their highest selves.
Inspiring them to live up to their potential.
This is the essence of social emotional renewal.
It is.
Investing in our relationships.
Cultivating empathy.
Creating that ripple effect of positivity.
Exactly.
So Sharpen the Saw is about all 4 of these dimensions.
Physical, spiritual, mental, social, emotional.
Investing in ourselves holistically.
So we can show up as our best selves.
But it's not about perfection, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about that continuous journey of growth.
Becoming a little bit better each day.
Recognizing that we are all works in progress.
That's what makes the journey so exciting.
So now that we've explored Sharpen the Saw, let's move on to the last part of our deep dive. We're going to get into Covey's own personal reflections.
On living these principles.
You get ready for some candid insights.
He doesn't hold back.
He shares his struggles, his triumphs.
Which makes it all the more powerful.
We've really gone deep on these 7 habits, from paradigms to synergy and everything in between. But what's really stuck with me is how honest Covey is.
About his own struggles.
Yeah. He doesn't shy away from them. It makes these habits seem more, attainable. Like he's not some superhuman who's perfectly mastered all this.
Absolutely. He's really open about his own journey, his setbacks, makes him relatable, not just some guru on a pedestal.
He tells this funny story about his wife calling him out.
Oh, right, for not practicing what he preached.
Yeah. He was getting frustrated with their son, and his wife basically said, "Stephen, you're being a hypocrite."
It's a reminder that we all slip up sometimes.
Even when we know better.
Right. We have the knowledge, but actually putting it into practice, especially in the heat of the moment, that's the challenge.
It's comforting, in a way, knowing that even Stephen Covey struggled with this stuff.
It's a lifelong journey.
Not a destination.
Exactly. And that's why sharpening the saw is so important, that continuous renewal.
They keep showing up as our best selves.
Even when we stumble.
I was really interested in how he talks about renewing his spiritual life.
Oh, yeah. That retreat with his wife.
Those deep conversations.
Creating those safe spaces for vulnerability.
Where you can really listen and understand each other.
He even shares that example about resolving a conflict.
The one about the broken appliance, right?
Yeah. Turns out it was connected to her childhood, her feelings about her father.
Wow.
It's amazing how seemingly small things can be triggers for these deeper emotional responses.
So we have to go beyond those surface level interactions, right?
Absolutely. Seek to understand those underlying needs.
Fears, motivations.
The things that drive people's behavior.
Habit 5 all over again, isn't it?
It is.
Seek first to understand.
When you have that empathy, that understanding, it opens up so many possibilities.
For connection and collaboration.
Exactly.
Covey also talks about applying synergy in a business setting.
Oh, how he changed his approach to meetings.
Not about pushing his own agenda.
But creating an environment where everyone feels heard.
Respect, collaboration.
To find the best solutions.
And by embracing those different perspectives.
They came up with ideas he never could have on his own.
These principles, they can be applied everywhere.
They can.
Work, personal life, even on a global scale.
He talks about his work with Anwar Sadat. Right?
Yeah. Negotiating peace in the Middle East.
It's proof that these principles can create real change.
When applied with, integrity and commitment.
It gives you hope.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the 7 habits, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that effectiveness, it's not about being perfect.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right. Continuous learning, continuous growth.
Guided by principles that never really go out of style.
That's it. Showing up every day, trying to be our best.
Even when we make mistakes.
Having the courage to be vulnerable, to ask for feedback.
Always striving for improvement.
Well said. It's a journey of becoming.
So if you're ready to start your own journey,
with the 7 habits,
I'd say pick one that speaks to you right now.
Start small.
Be consistent.
And see what happens.
You might be surprised at how things unfold.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Find a friend, a mentor, someone to support you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into Stephen Covey's 7 habits. We hope it's inspired you.
Until next time.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
Hi there! Ready to dive into another world of words and wisdom? Let's get started. Ever wondered how the 7 habits of highly effective people can change your perspective? Today, we uncover those secrets.